Now, I think it's fair to say that it is quite natural for people to question the existence of God. I think it's naturally people want to know, and therefore they have this battle going on in their minds with various rational arguments that they go through. It's normally argued that the educated elite and scientists are the type who don't believe in God. Why do you think that really is?
I think that I would disagree with that. Because the fact of the matter is that there are many people who adhered to a religious belief, who were devout people who followed a religion, who were devoted to God, and they were very outstanding scientists as well. Let's not go too far away. In our own community, in the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, Dr. Abdus Salam Sahib was the first Nobel laureate for science for physics among the Muslims, and he used to say that I have deduced my discoveries are based on inspiration that I gained from the Holy Quran. And even if we go back in history, we will find that there have been many Muslim scientists and inventors who have come up with groundbreaking discoveries which have almost shaped our current society. And we depend on their discoveries and their scientific progress. And they always said that we are believers in God and believers in the Holy Quran, and we gain our inspiration from that. So to say that educated people shun religion and it's only the ignorant, non-educated people who follow religion, this is simply a misstatement of the facts. There is a very famous scholar, scientist known as Ibn al-Haytham, and he says that there's a very famous quote, and I would almost say that he developed the scientific model, and he used to say that something which is so in line with this scientific model that we accept today. He used to say that the seeker of truth, his duty is to be the enemy of everything, and for him to doubt everything, and then for him to contemplate. And whenever he goes on in this search of thinking over the cosmos or any discoveries that he's working on, he needs to keep questioning himself until there's no room for any further doubt. So this idea that Muslims or people who follow religion or who believe in God, they believe in things blindly without rationalizing, without contemplating, this is simply untrue.
I think it's also the concept of taqwa as well. Righteousness is also part of this, that when you do an investigation, you are fair and you do it
unprejudiced.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah, also, the point that you raised, and just as Ayasa mentioned as well, the fact that most scientists we would see that don't believe in God, we have to remember that where this took place in history, if you look at the Enlightenment period, when science was advancing at a rapid rate, the only religion in the West especially was Christianity. And the problem with this, and the Prophet Messiah has also mentioned this, is that you have to believe in certain things which you have to believe just because they're part of faith. For example, the resurrection. You have to believe. There's no scientific proof, there's no proof in the Bible, apart from the fact that it says Jesus went up to the skies. So in the fact that at that time when science was advancing and people began to question, it was the stance of the church as well, there was a tussle, and that's why we know the fact how Galileo was treated. Despite all his discoveries, he was quashed, and many of his books were not published, and even letters to his private friends, he still maintained till the end, in fact, that he does believe in God, but he has to question his religion. So this was a period in history where we find the fact that science versus religion began. Whereas if you look at Andalusia in the early age of Islam, there were scientific breakthroughs there, but most of them were Muslims, or they were believers in God. So there's two ways of looking at it. And
so Islam doesn't really oppose scientific research?
Absolutely not. As we mentioned already, the Quran is completely in line with it. And the fact that God and religion and the Islam itself goes in those areas where science stops. And we'll discuss this